guys, and welcome to another episode of WoW Weekly with Myst. And for this week, we have the weekly, which will be pet battles. PvP Brawl is going to be a Wrathy Blizzard. Dark Moon Fair will start up on Sunday. And we still have Midsummer going on. So Midsummer will continue until July 5th. On the topic of Midsummer, I had made a post last week detailing 3 new items that were on the vendor. So this is my post here that I had done up. I have a good video that I made last year on how to earn a lot of Midsummer badges really fast. And this actually does not include bonfires, so if you're one of those people that don't like to travel all over the place to get like a random 5, this definitely is for you. It's super easy. You pretty much can, get an easy 60 to 80 each day with maybe only spending 15 minutes on it. And that's the week. The Pet Battle Weekly, I'm thinking of maybe finally going in and doing my very first PvP Pet Battle. I do all the rest, but I've been holding off all the PvP achievements until I was done the Family Familiar stuff, and I'm pretty close. I'm practically done all those family achievements now. Okay, so this past week we got the pre-order for Dragonflight. There's 3 versions. The base edition will cost you $50 and you will get access to the expansion, Drakthur Evoker, and the Drax Battle Pet. You can use the Battle Pet in-game right now, and he's actually quite big, and he also flies as well. Worth noting that this pet is supposedly a unique pre-order bonus. Pre-ordering this will actually get you a pet that is supposed to be going away after the game launches. However, you have time. Pre-purchases just started. But the good part is he is in the cheapest pack, so no matter what, you would have him as long as you buy it before the release date. The Heroic Edition is $70 and it includes the Tangled Dreamweaver flying mount. This mount is very pretty, and as a druid main, this is like a druid's dream mount more or less. So not bad for a pre-order mount. A lot of the time I just pre-order the game and then never use the mounts that come with it. So I was actually really impressed with this one. It's been a while since I've actually liked a mount that came with an expansion. I wasn't really fond of Shadowlands, to be honest. I've actually never even taken that mount out. The closest to ever using the Shadowlands pre-purchase mount was when I had bought it. Around that time, there was a quest that came in, which I did a video for, and yeah, that was my using the mount pretty much. Because you had to actually take out that mount in order to get the quest. So, very nice to see a nice looking mount in this one. You'll also get the Mercastraza pet. He's cute, and I really like him. I actually like him more than the Drax pet, but I guess that makes sense. The Drax pet is in the cheaper version, right? And also you'll get a level 60 boost with the Heroic Edition. And then we have the Epic Edition, which will cost you $90. Now, as for this one, I felt this one is actually one of the most worth it Epic Editions I've ever seen. Because as someone who doesn't use gold to pay for the monthly sub, I still pay, off my card. And as someone who still does that, that makes pretty much all the goodies in the Epic Edition free. Because if you think about it, it is $20 more. And that's roughly the cost of a WoW sub, and you're gonna get 30 days of game time in that Epic Edition. So if you're gonna buy some WoW time anyway, then it's a win-win. Now, it's only a win-win for a person that's playing right now, though. If you don't plan on actually playing the game right now and you're just like pre-purchasing to have it pre-purchased for when it launches and you're coming back then, I would wait. I would actually wait altogether on the pre-purchase at that point, because that game time will start from the time you purchase it. So if you are thinking along those lines, then wait till we have a release date and then pre-purchase it like last minute, more or less. And then you can make good use out of that 30 days game time. And then on top of that, of course, we have the Time Walker's Hearthstone, the Spellkeeper Transmog, and the Wings of Awakening. The wings, they look okay. I've seen some people running around with them. Nothing that I think I'd wear, but they're okay, and they have different colors. I just wish they kind of like didn't seem so stiff, you know? They seem very stiff on your back. Not a whole lot of movement with them. So one big discussion on this is the prices. The prices are actually more this time around. And as a Canadian, that Epic Edition being $90, that's what a Canadian normally would have paid for the Epic Edition. And you guys are now paying what we normally would pay. And yeah, so what that means is that Epic Edition for a Canadian is like $115 now. I've been kind of giggling inside because I've heard some people paying or saying, you know, why would you pay more than $100? And it's like, yeah, that's been our prices pretty much for every expansion if you like to have everything. You know, if you get the top package, which I always do. I always like to have everything you can possibly get, which is why I like that the Epic Edition includes 30 days of game time, because I do actually feel like you are more or less getting that for free, because I would be paying for that game time anyway. But the fact is, it is pricier. Speaking of price, there is one other thing, and that is that if you are a player that maybe left the game, say in Legion or BFA, you actually have to buy Shadowlands in order to buy Dragonflight. Now, that one is interesting. This one, I'm honestly not sure how to think about this one, because on one side, I'm like, well, that's bullshit. That's a lot of money for someone who wasn't playing Shadowlands, right? But then on another side, I'm thinking, well, we're still in Shadowlands. It's the current expansion, so it kind of makes sense that you would need it. So my only advice is that, well, if you didn't play Shadowlands, then you're probably not an active WoW player, right? And that means that you'd probably be okay with maybe playing Dragonflight on like day 2 or something. In which case, I guarantee you, once it launches, Shadowlands is in the sub base, because that's how it works. Whenever a new current expansion comes into play, it's the current game that you buy, and then everything else prior to it is included into your sub package. So that is what I would suggest if you are not an active player and you don't feel the need to play Dragonflight on day 1. So just keep that in mind, that is just due to the fact that Shadowlands is the current expansion right now. However, with all that said, they do seem to have a pack now on the store that includes a bundle for both Shadowlands and Dragonflight. It does include Heroic Edition and also Epic Edition, so you can still get all those goodies. And I would say, since you are currently getting a current expansion and a new one not released yet expansion together, I would say the prices aren't that bad. considering what the prices are, just to get Dragonflight right now, to have Shadowlands added in, these prices don't seem too bad at all. Okay, so another way that you can buy the Dragonflight is actually with your gold in-game. Now, this is a function I've never used before because I like to just slap money down at stuff. My gold is precious in WoW, and yeah, I don't spend it on gaining real money on Blizzard balance or anything. Typically, if I have gold in WoW, it's because I want to buy something in WoW. But if you do like farming gold, and a lot of it, because you're gonna need a lot, there is an alternate way you can purchase Dragonflight. So if you wanted to get the Epic Edition pre-order, if you're EU, you would need 2.8 million gold. And if you're NA, you would need 1.6 million gold. So basically what that equals, if you're, gonna have like a daily goal on your money, as EU, you would have to be bringing in like 18,000 gold per day. And if you're NA, you'd have to be bringing in 10,000 gold per day. Now, that's honestly not too bad. 10,000 gold a day, I don't even gold farm and I can pull that off. Now, these numbers are going based off of you purchasing it in, say, December. So it would take you like 158 days at these numbers. So if you can farm more than that, definitely do so. But that is another option if you don't want to pay real money for your Dragonflight. Or even you could, do half-half, right? Just do half those numbers and then throw the other half in as real money. Okay, so that's the digital stuff. The physical copy of Dragonflight is available to purchase as well. It will cost you $130. It will have your game key inside. It's going to have an art book, an Alistrasa mouse pad, a 5-pin collector set for Dragonflight, the Epic Edition in-game content. So you'll get all those items, which includes a Dragonflight level character boost, your Wings transmog, your Tangled Dreamweaver mount, Mercastraza pet and Drax pet, the Spellkeeper transmog, your Time Walker's Hearthstone effect, and 30 days of game time. There's no date on when you would receive this, but you will have it prior to the last day of the year. Honestly, I was hoping for a little color with the box. I feel like the box is a little blah, and it looks kind of close to my 15th anniversary Blizzard box. I was pondering getting the physical collection because I do like the physical collections here. But honestly, I think I'm just going to stick with the digital this time. We also didn't really get a release date, but they did give us a release window. I know that some people are seeing this as a release date. I'm kind of suspected that through some of my streams. Keep in mind that like December 31st is a placeholder. And it's a placeholder that a lot of companies have used for many, many years. So this is not a release date. The game is not releasing on December 31st. All it's saying is they're basically saving their ass. They have until the very last day of the year to release the product. That's pretty much what's going on. So they want to release in 2022, but they want as much time in 2022 to get it out to us. So we're going to hear a release date down the road. Don't just assume that December 31st is a release date, because it is not. No one would ever release a game on New Year's Eve. Yeah, so. But we could be looking at a December one. I think we could even be looking at a November, because they kind of typically, if they are going to do a release at the end of a year, it is typically November. There's a couple of things to really go over with this one. Okay, the first thing is obviously season 4 is going to be shorter, which we kind of already knew. We knew just based off of what they're doing with season 4, right? You know, with old dungeons being in there, it's more a testing for them. Personally, I think we would have been better off not even having a season 4. Just, yeah, it's like now knowing that they're gonna release it this year anyway. Yeah. So one downfall is hopefully we get season 4 soon, because those of you who like going after your KSM, it may be a little more fucking limited this season, you know, depending on when it drops, but you're definitely not going to have as long as you normally would to get that KSM mount. So basically what this means is they have 6 months to get season 4 going. Enough time for people to get their KSM. I think the average is a few months that people usually knock out their KSM. And then we also need an alpha going, which I imagine we'll hear news on this week of an upcoming alpha. And then we also have the pre-patch event for Dragonflight, and those usually run around 4 weeks. This is something I was discussing in a WoW Weekly 3 weeks ago. I had gone over a lot of the time frames, and yeah, that's a short amount of time to get quite a bit done. Is it doable? Yeah, 6 months is a while. We already knew season 4 was going to be short. I do think this means season 4 is showing up soon. Do I think they're ready? I personally was... Honestly, I was kind of expecting almost another year before we saw Dragonflight. I didn't think we were going to see it till mid next year. But a part of me did think that if they were being pushed to just release it during the every 2-year mark that we always have for expansions, then that part of me actually expected it to release in November. So that's probably what's happening. As far as are they ready? I think they could be ready. Shadowlands is literally the worst expansion I have ever seen. And if we're going to compare some stuff, even although I didn't mind WoD, WoD is a good example. WoD, there was like pretty much no content for a really long time. And why was that? They were working on Legion, and Legion ended up being a really good expansion because of it. So Shadowlands, I think they are, working. They have been working on Dragonflight. Another thing to keep in mind is Dragonflight's going to be a simple game. I would say it's going to be casual. There's no real big systems in place. And not that we know of at the moment anyway, they could always surprise us. But as far as it's looking right now, Dragonflight is going to be very simple based. There's not a whole lot of big systems that they have to work on, which, really means that it won't take as long to put it together. And, we could be looking at 2 scenarios here. 1, they're being pushed for this early release. Or 2, they might just be ready because Dragonflight is gonna be like a mellow expansion. The only worry I have with that is a mellow expansion equals less content. But I do think that they probably are actually ready to release Dragonflight. Just because it doesn't have these intense systems like BFA and Shadowlands had, or even Legion, because Legion also had, a system in place. Now, with that said, them releasing this year does still worry me, even although I do know that Dragonflight is going to be a much simpler system. not as much grind. And it's really gonna be, I see it as honestly the expansion where you can catch up in old stuff, which is pretty much what I've been doing for years anyway now. I don't think it's gonna be a huge grindy expansion. And that also worries me. Don't get me wrong, I don't need WoW to be hugely grindy, but it is an MMO. It is supposed to have a grind level to it. And people will get bored if there is nothing to truly grind, because there are people out there that don't care about collection. However, we will still have them plus and all that. Them releasing earlier, it's not really early. They're actually releasing on schedule pretty much, which is why I'm thinking that they were pushed to that release. And I think that it's quite possible that they had other ideas for Dragonflight that might not go through, at least not right away, because they're being pushed to that release. I think that they're kind of half ready, but they were half kind of pushed to leave some stuff out. I do worry a little bit on that because it could mean a dull expansion, and the thing is, it's gotta start with a boom, because no one that left Shadowlands early in knows what's going on right now. You know, like, those people that left, they didn't look back, and that is how it happens, right? You gotta get your players engaged at the beginning, because Blizzard has burnt too many bridges. I have played the last 2 expansions while hating them, pretty much. That is 4 years of playing content that I've disliked. Granted, because I disliked it, I went and, worked more on old achievements and stuff, but the reality is not everyone is like that, right? If you're not a collector, you don't have that other option. And what'll happen is they will just leave and pick up a different game. There's lots of good games out there. And what I think Shadowland actually was good at doing was showing WoW players that World of Warcraft isn't the only game out there. You know, it might be the one that hooks you the most. Because I can't say I've ever had a game that I played pretty much every day for 18 years. But the reality is, well, for me, BFA was the expansion that made me look at other games. Before that, I play WoW and only WoW type girl. But BFA bored me so much that I actually started looking at some other games. And then for majority of the WoW players, Shadowlands is the one that did it for them. The thing is, there's a lot of competition, and Blizzard's not doing too great with their games, and there are a lot of better games out there. And when I say better, keep in mind that I'm thinking Shadowlands right now, right? If this was the old expansions like, BC, Lich King, even Cataclysm, which was like the first expansion I disliked. If it was those, I probably wouldn't even be making this comment, because I wasn't even looking at other games around then. WoW was the only game for a long time, and the reason for that is because it was so good that I didn't ever feel the need to look at anything else. Closest I ever really got is that, like, when D3 came out, I liked D3, and I competed in leaderboards and stuff like that, but I still played WoW. I was just adding a game on top of it. But that was also around Legion time, so that was way past a lot of the older expansions, right? I would say from vanilla to the beginning of Legion, I didn't play anything other than World of Warcraft. So the point of my story here is that the reason I was like that is because the game was so good that the only thing I ever wanted to play was WoW. I had always made these comments of how I wanted to play these other games, but the reality was that the reason they didn't get played back then is because WoW was so good. I was enjoying content, I was enjoying collecting things, and when something keeps you as happy as WoW had kept me in those earlier days, you don't even look at a game. It's not that I was forcing myself to not look at games. I didn't even think about looking at other games. You know, people would tell me they're gonna go play, whatever game, and my reaction would be like, oh cool, have fun. I wouldn't even want to play it, because I was, having such a blast in WoW. And that is what they need to do again. They need to make an expansion that makes your players not even think about looking at other games. Granted, keep in mind that it is good to, play other games. Shadowlands opened people's eyes up, and there are a lot more options for WoW players if this expansion tanks. However, I feel like they kind of win anyway, because due to the sub base, there's so many people that forget they're subbed. So they go play WoW and then they sub, and they'll be on an automatic sub, and then they leave to go play some other games. Meanwhile, Blizzard's still getting their money because they're automatically subbed and they just don't even think twice. So I do hope it will be good. Will it kill WoW if it isn't? No. Us collectors carry this game. I've said that for a while. If us collectors all quit, then that game would be dead. But we carry the game when it's in its worst state. It's the same reason with the pre-purchases, right? This past week, there was a lot of commotion of, why are you pre-purchasing a game, before you even know much about it? It's like, we're not pre-purchasing because the new expansion is releasing down the road. We're pre-purchasing because we get a mount, a couple of pets, some new transmogs, and they're all usable right now. As for me, am I excited for Dragonflight? I'll be completely honest with you, I am not. I've had absolutely no excitement for Dragonflight. Cataclysm was my first disliked expansion ever, so the fact that it's a play on Cataclysm, more or less, just has me absolutely not hyped at all. But I am a WoW fan, and I've been playing for 18 years, so I will play anyway. Obviously I will play Dragonflight, but if I'm being honest with you, it's gonna be probably another expansion where I dedicate a lot of time to old achievements that I've been trying to knock out. Aside from doing the current content, but like I just said, it's gonna be a simpler game, and a player like myself that puts in the time frame I do, I think with a simpler game, I will get bored pretty fast. Do I think Dragonflight will be good? I don't know. My personal feelings is I don't have a whole lot of hope because they messed up Cata in my eyes. But I do think it needs to be good. So I do hope it is good. Because only a person like myself who's been playing non-stop for 18 years would buy an expansion after 2 horrible expansions. I've already played through 4 years of bad content, So they do need it good to hold on to other people, because the only people they're gonna hold on to are people like myself who have either played for a really long time or they're heavy into their collection to the point where when content is bad, they do have other areas in World of Warcraft that they can go do that still may entertain them, right? When WoW does bad, they still hold on to millions of players, but the reality is if Dragonflight does bad and they can't hold on to players, and it is just us collectors. Like, we can carry the game for a bit, but what's gonna happen is they're gonna start feeling like it's a waste of money to do the production level that they do, and the content we get will be even worse because they just won't be hiring the people to maintain a game that lost so many players, right? So that's my worry for WoW right now, is that, you know, if this expansion doesn't do good, it is continuing that downhill. A part of me always knew that was going to happen anyway. It's an 18-year game. Do I regret playing WoW? Hell no. I have had such a blast. Vanilla BC and Wrath of the Lich King were the best expansions. My most played time. Kata, while I didn't like it, I still played it, and it was the first bad expansion in my eyes, but it wasn't bad like BFA and Shadowlands. It was just a bunch of features that I thought could have been done better, but I still did the content, right? So, you know, I was still really loving WoW at that time. And then Panda was just weird. You know, but still, I can't really say anything too terribly bad regarding Panda. You know, aside from the world bosses that still haven't dropped my mounts. And WoD, I actually liked WoD. I am one of the very few. And then Legion, I wasn't fond of Legion at the start, but it grew on me throughout the expansion, and it ended up becoming like my third favorite expansion. And then that's where my actual dislike of expansions happened. BFA, there were parts I enjoyed, but it was the first expansion ever where I actually looked at another game. Now, that didn't go very far because it turns out that I don't like any other MMOs other than World of Warcraft, but the fact remains that I did actually look at some other games. And then Shadowlands came out, and I knew right off the bat, even before it released, when I was playing the alpha for it, that I was not gonna like it. I knew the grind that was ahead of me and how alt-unfriendly it was gonna be, at least in the beginning. And I didn't like the systems, and yeah, I did not have good vibes going into Shadowlands. And turns out I was right. I have disliked Shadowlands the entire way, and I've made that pretty obvious on this channel. It also was the first expansion I stopped giving a shit about Mythic Plus. I got my KSM in Season 1, and then I decided that I was done doing KSM crap. It became boring content to me. I felt like with Season 2, it was that I was just disliking the game so much I didn't even want to play. And then in Season 3, that was around the time, well, current season, of course, that was around the time when they added the score into game, and I had always enjoyed KSM because I thought I, on my own, was tracking my score for the fun of it on the IO site, and to me that was fun because it wasn't being forced on me, and I had my own goals for that. And then once they implemented it in game, all of a sudden KSM felt different to me. You know, I felt like I was forced to do it. I didn't feel like I was doing it for me anymore, which is really too bad because from Legion to Season 1 of Shadowlands, that's what I was always doing. Mythics, Mythic Plus, and timing keys, and yeah, and I had a lot of fun doing that. Shadowlands is also the expansion I rated the least in. Yeah, BFA's kind of where it started. I started like lowering the amount I raid, but Shadowlands was practically nothing. You know, like, yeah, I have done so little raiding in this expansion. And I think that's two things, honestly. One, you know, I was already disliking the expansion, so why would I want to do any group content in current expansion? And then two, all my friends were quitting, so like, who was I gonna raid with anyway? I don't want to pug out raids. And when I say I don't want to pug out raids, because I do pug out a lot, you know, being mainly a solo player, but the thing is, all the good people quit, you know? So I knew that if I was pugging out a raid, it was gonna be with a bunch of people who knew pretty much nothing. And then with not wanting to do that, I started thinking about my collection a little differently, because I'm like, well, if I'm gonna purposely miss out on some KSM mounts, how much do I really care about my collection anymore? Because I'm gonna be missing those now, right? So yeah, and it did really change the way I perceived my World of Warcraft, you know, and I stopped caring. I still like do my mount farms and all that, but if I don't feel like playing WoW, I just don't now. With Shadowlands, I kind of lucked out though, because the year of Shadowlands releasing was also the year of Animal Crossing New Horizons releasing, and I'm a big Animal Crossings fan. So I did really luck out in the fact that the expansion that I hated the most out of all of them put together, I did actually have some cute game I could go play instead. And I've also been doing some playthroughs, but reality is, like, Animal Crossing really helped me out in that sense, because I was playing that one probably pretty consistently for a good year of Shadowlands. It helped make it so I didn't, like, straight out quit WoW pretty much, because I feel like I might have if it wasn't for Animal Crossing, but because I had that game, I just turned myself into a little more casual of a WoW player and played Animal Crossing on the side. And now, you know, some of you guys may have noticed that Kirby is a current playthrough on the channel right now, slowly uploading the videos in between WoW stuff. And honestly, that's the plan. You know, that is my plan. Like, I have actual less hype for Dragonflight than I did even for Shadowlands or for BFA, and there was no hype for those. There is nothing I have seen yet that makes me really excited to play the game. You know, like, the talent trees look cool, but all that's doing is bringing something that we've had before. You know, like, yeah, I want to see new cool stuff, and we really didn't see a whole lot of that. You know, I'm not super excited to level the new race, and I'm not super excited for the flight aspect, you know, the, you know, controlling amount or whatever. Yeah, there's just nothing there, so I think it's gonna be probably one of my most casual expansions yet. Anyway, I sort of sidetracked there, got into story mode. The original question here was, do I regret spending the past 18 years putting a lot of my time into World of Warcraft? I don't regret it, because it's entertainment, right? And if you're not playing a game, you're finding some other source of entertainment. And I don't know, you tell me, what can you do, say, outside that only costs 20 bucks a month to do, and you're entertained every day, pretty much? I can't think of anything that could cost $20 a month and entertain me every day. So the way I see it is, it was money well spent, and it still is, because I'm still playing. And I still have fun. You just make your own fun out of it. You know, when content goes bad, that's when you do other things, and that's the joy of WoW, right? It's not a game that has one feature. It has so many different features in it. You can just go do those other features until you want to do current content again. Ever since Legion ended, I, in a sense, have become a little more casual with WoW. It's hard to use that word because I play daily and I play a lot, so yeah, casual usually doesn't mean that, but it is casual in the aspect that I don't make sure I raid every week. I don't even make sure I do my mythics every week. You know, I just do whatever the fuck I want that week. And yeah, that is how I've been rolling with WoW. One additional thing we got this past week, which was outside of the Dragonflight purchases and all that, but Lil Ursoc, he is a new pet, so he is full priced. It will cost you $10 US to get him, but he is pretty cute. I bought him right away. I bought him before the Dragonflight. Yeah, he was more important than the Dragonflight was. Yeah, he was my first focus. My accomplishments this week, I did actually 2 accomplishments. One was a video yesterday, and that was Nazjatar Blood Serpent. So I finally put some of my golds together and, you know, got that done. And the other accomplishment I did was that I finished the Argus pet achievements that I was working on. This was a super long achievement. I've been working on it for a while, and so it's nice to have it out of the way now. It's called Family Fighter. There's a total of 18 pets in Argus, and you have to fight them with each one of the families. There's like 10 families, I believe. That is a lot of pet battling. So I finally knocked that one out. So I got the Fellclaw Marsul, which is kind of cute. Quickly going over some classic updates. One of the biggest ones that excited me is the fact that we are going to get a 50% experience buff before Wrath Classic launches. So if you are like me and need some catch-up time because you play a lot of retail, then that is perfect. So that will be starting soon, but we don't have a date on that yet. But just a heads up that we will be getting that. I'll let you know when we get a date on that. Blizzard intends to buff health and damage of monsters in Naxx for the Wrath of the Lich King Classic. I think this is a great change. The way they had originally done it, it just seemed a little too easy. So to have some difficulty leading all the way up to Alder is definitely nice. And that concludes this week's WoW Weekly with Myst. I hope you had a great week. I hope you're enjoying all your cool new things that you bought with your Dragonflight, if you did buy it. I know some like to wait closer to the actual launch before they buy it. And honestly, you got time. There is no real need to pre-purchase the expansion this early. You know, this package will still be there like a month or 2 or even 3 down the road. So really you could just wait until it gets closer and purchase it then. Especially since there was nothing too terribly cool in it. With Shadowlands, I felt like you wanted to purchase that one like right away because there was a quest you could do, and so you would work on it in BFA leading up to Shadowlands release. And yeah, so that was a good incentive to actually purchase it right away. Dragonflight doesn't really have anything like that in their pre-purchase. So yeah, if you're, you know, trying to decide if you want to purchase it, you definitely got time. However, keep in mind that Drax is supposedly a pre-purchase bonus, so I'm gonna be the complete opposite of other YouTubers here. A lot are saying, don't pre-purchase, you know, wait until after it's released. No. If you are a collector, you want to pre-purchase because you want that Drac pet in case he doesn't show up on the store randomly one day, right? You just don't need to do it right now. You have literally until the day before the expansion launches. So you don't have to pre-purchase right now, but I am gonna suggest that you do actually do the pre-purchase instead of buying it after release, because you will possibly miss out on that Drac pet. And I personally believe that it is better to be safe than sorry. And yeah, and that is it. So I hope you enjoyed and have a good week in WoW, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.